The MLB is going to hate what the Los Angeles Dodgers are about to do, as we have some major updates on the free agency of both Bo Bichette and Kyle Tucker, and why more than ever they are more than likely to land with the Los Angeles Dodgers than any other team. We'll tell you why right here today on Dodgers Digest. Welcome everybody, I'm Jace Andrews. I appreciate you tuning in to today's show and hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you might be. Now we've got some major things to get to, but before that, I recommend hitting that subscribe button. We are less than 100 subscribers away from 13,000. I would love to hit that mark by the end of the week. And plus, daily Dodgers news at your fingertips. So when a signing like Bo Bichette or Kyle Tucker does happen, you'll know exactly where to go for all that you have on that contract, values, everything will have you covered. But for now, let's talk about the possibility of Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette landing with the Los Angeles Dodgers, because as we can see here, per reports from John Heyman, the Dodgers have quote-unquote checked in on Bo Bichette while also simultaneously being the top team to offer Kyle Tucker potential short-term, high AAV contract additions. Now, of course, the hot stove is turning up to a high heat right now with spring training, pitchers and catchers about to report less than a month away. But does this mean that a deal is actually close? Well, maybe not close, but definitely in the likelihood of landing with the Dodgers more than ever. And there's a big reason behind that, and it really is right with the Toronto Blue Jays, and we're going to talk to you about that in today's video. But before we get into the rest of today's show, this video is brought to you by Kalshi. In fact, if you go down to the link in the description and use code DIGESTMLB, you're going to get $20 when you trade your first 100. Kalshi is the largest prediction market in the United States, and on their platform, you can trade yes or no on real-life events such as sports, elections, news, heck, they even have weather. Pretty much anything you can find on Kalshi. Now, whether you're in California like the Dodgers, Texas, or anywhere across the country, Kalshi is now live in all 50 states. Now, for sports fans, we can trade on game outcomes, playoff chances, or player performances, all on a regulated market where you can cash out at any time. Looking at this year's Pro Baseball champion on Kalshi, we can see the Los Angeles Dodgers. They got the top odds at 26% with Seattle right there. So go trade yes right now on the Dodgers winning the World Series here in 2026. It's genuinely a smarter way to use your sports or news knowledge, and you can close positions whenever you want. Again, download Kalshi and use the code DIGESTMLB to get your $20 bonus. That link will be in the description of today's video. Now, continuing on here with the Dodgers reports, there is a main reason why I believe the Dodgers are in line more to get Bo Bichette and Kyle Tucker than ever before. And it's strictly because the Blue Jays are less in line. They have spent a lot of money this offseason getting Dylan Cease, getting Cody Ponce, getting Tyler Rogers, and now Kazuma Okamoto as well. They've spent a decent amount of money. Now, that's not to say that the Dodgers are going to be better at spending the money than the Jays, but it's to say that the Jays maybe already have put an allotment into this offseason, and I don't know what that margin is, but we're already seeing ramifications toil down from the signing of Kazuma Okamoto and, of course, all these other very big monetary deals. The first one is Ken Rosenthal talking that infielder Bo Bichette is, quote, becoming increasingly unlikely to rejoin the Blue Jays this offseason. So that's already a big thing in its own right. Now, continuing off that, if Bo Bichette is less likely, are they really about to offer a 10-year, $400 million deal to Kyle Tucker, which, again, that's what Tucker believes he is worth? Or, like we've said in past, if they do not offer it, then it's probably the Dodgers who are going to go out there and offer the short-term high AAV contract. Now, there's a decent amount of free agents still left on the market, especially in the big names. Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger is still left, although I think a lot of reports have him just landing with the New York Yankees at some point. Alex Bregman is still there. Bo Bichette is still out there. Ranger Suarez, Framber Valdez, and Zach Gallen are also still on the open market. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the guys that the Dodgers are focusing on are Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette. And what they've done is they've played it perfectly to kind of wait here, because at this point, with the way the Jays have worked their offseason, if they're able to get Kyle Tucker, then it seems like a almost foregone conclusion that Bo Bichette will then become a Los Angeles Dodger. However, if they want to get Bo Bichette and they do and find a way to get him back, then it probably feels more likely the Dodgers will land Kyle Tucker. And I think this is a great take from Klein here on Twitter. And overall, it's a perfect sentiment to saying the Dodgers have spent, a little money with Edwin Diaz and made some small moves, but overall, Comparative to the Blue Jays, they're spending nothing. And we all know if the Dodgers want to outbid somebody, and if it comes to a point where the Jays decide to give short-term high AAV contracts to Bo or Kyle, I guarantee you, Dodgers aren't going to be beat. Dodgers are not going to be beat. And so continue on here in the report. Kyle Tucker is an option that I do like, and I think it really comes down to the position alignments. And for Tucker, it's great because he's an outfielder, which is a position that is a need for the Dodgers. It is. 377 on base. He played through injury last year, only 28 years old, 22 homers and 73 RBI. Now, same can be said for Bo Bichette. And the difference with Bo is, of course, the positional alignment. Now, Bo is a very decent fielder at shortstop, but in all theory, if he did sign with the Los Angeles Dodgers, he'd be playing second base. And so you'd have an infield of Freddie Freeman, Bo Bichette, Mookie Betts, and Max Muncy, which would be absolutely fantastic and can set up the future where if you would like to move Bo Bichette to third base after this season when Max Muncy either does move on from the Dodgers or whatever happens with that, it sounds like he's not going to come back, then at that point you can make the decision to move Bo Bichette there. Lots of options for this Dodgers to make. And so I thought it'd be interesting to kind of look at both the Jays and the Dodgers and kind of see positional alignment and what actually feels right. So for the Dodgers, they have a great kind of convulsion of infielders. But the difference with them, they've got kind of an interesting mix here because you have Tommy Edman, who can play the outfield and play center field or left or right, whatever you need, but he's also a very good Gold Glove second baseman. Whereas the Dodgers have a very full infield: Addison Barger, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Kazuma Okamoto, not to mention Jimenez. There's just a lot of guys in that infield, and the outfield is packed too. Now, of course, Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette would overside either of these rosters, but the point being is the Dodgers have a bigger need, whereas the Blue Jays don't. Now, does that mean the Blue Jays are not going to pony up and spend the money? I don't know if that's necessarily true because both these guys are absolutely fantastic, but I think that right now there is a bigger opportunity for the Dodgers to do exactly what they've been doing and kind of sit back, relax, and wait, knowing that the Blue Jays are not going to offer a 10-year, $400 million deal to Kyle Tucker. And as we get closer and closer to spring training, Kyle Tucker is going to want to sign, and guess what? He's going to have the option of signing for 10 years for $100 million less than what he wanted to, because at this point, the Blue Jays are the only one in that long-term market, or he can come and sign with the Los Angeles Dodgers, who will give him a 2 to 3 year contract where he's going to get the money that he wanted per year, but again, at a shorter term rather than that 10-year contract. And so that's obviously something to look at. And then same thing can be said with Bo Bichette. I think for Bo Bichette, if a long-term deal did come down to like 4 or 5 years, the Dodgers, I feel like, would be more apt to give it to him. And that's specifically because I don't think that Kyle Tucker would accept it in the first strike, but Bo Bichette, to me, kind of seems like an Alex Bregman situation. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Alex Bregman last year wanted a long-term contract, and ultimately no one was offering it to him, so he settled for a very high AAV short-term contract with the Boston Red Sox. And I think for Bo Bichette, that could be the same situation where he wants this long-term thing, but he's more willing to settle for a short-term, but his short-term might be a 3 to 4 year deal. That still might be something the Dodgers are very much happy to do. And so there's all the reports about Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette. We're going to continue talking about them until someone signs, but who would you rather the Dodgers get this offseason? If you'd rather them snag Bo Bichette, then I want you to type B for Bo. If you think Kyle Tucker is the option, you'd rather have him, then I want you to type K for Kyle. Again, who would you rather the Dodgers get this offseason? B for Bo Bichette, K for Kyle Tucker. Leave your answer down in the comments section. I don't know that I'd be unhappy if we got one of them. I think I'd be unhappy if we got neither of them in some aspect, just because I would like to have it. I don't think that we necessarily need either of them to win in a grand sense of the word. But overall, to me, the long-term / the problem was your outfield. And as much as putting Bo Bichette at second and moving Tommy Edman to the outfield is good, I think getting Kyle Tucker, putting him in right, moving Teoscar to left, makes for a better situation. Because if Pages can play the way that we saw he was able to in 2025, then that can be a very good outfield, especially hitting-wise and defense-wise. You trust Tucker in right. You feel very good with Pages in center. And Teoscar, you get what you get in left field. And your infield feels pretty solid with Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Tommy Edman. They're going to have Mookie Betts and Max Muncy back. So it feels like the best fit to me is getting Kyle Tucker over Bo Bichette. But at the same time, I don't think there's a wrong choice. I think if you get Bo Bichette and not Kyle Tucker and it's the right deal, I think it's also a very good thing to do. So lots of things to kind of work with that, but overall, you can't really lose in this situation because ultimately I do think you're going to get one, and it's just a matter of which one falls in your lap in some ways, and that's going to really be a pain to a lot of MLB fans when they realize how cheap and how easy it was for us to land a Kyle Tucker or a Bo Bichette. Leave all your thoughts in the comment section on who you'd like to get and, of course, what you think will happen, when they will sign, so much more. We'll keep you updated with everything we know, and for now, we'll say peace out here from Dodgers Digest.